This video is meant to provide some additional instruction for the completion of Assignment 3. In Assignment 3, we will begin to look at the detailed information contained in the 10K relating to the company. We will begin our review with the income statement, which is generally the first statement that most individuals review to determine what net income is, what the components of net income is, and to give them some indication as to what future earnings might be of the company. Now, the future earnings are important because they represent the dollars that are available for the company to invest in the payment of dividends, to assure the payment of debt and the associated interest, and also to provide sources of cash for continued growth and expansion of the company. So, like I said, typically this is where most analysis begins, is with the income statement. Now, this assignment has got two parts to it. One is an Excel worksheet. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the second portion is a Word document where you'll answer some specific questions relating to the income statement and the components of the income statement. Now, the first question asks you to compute the change in sales. And so, current year sales, prior year sales, divided by prior year sales gives you the increase in sales. And so it just asks you, one, what was the percent increase? And then we begin to do some analysis. In question three, kind of straightforward. It asks you, did revenues increase or decrease? But then it also asks you why. Now, you should not expect to be in a position that you can answer that question without being provided some additional information. And where that information comes from is from the management's discussion and analysis. Now, in the case of this company, this begins on page 28 of the financial statements and continues for several pages because management presents an analysis and explanation of changes for the years 2017 versus 16 and then 2016 versus 2015. So there's basically a 3-year comparison or explanation presented within the financial statements. Now, word of caution, always read management's discussion and analysis with a grain of salt because management is trying to present information that provides one pertinent information but also puts forth management in the best possible light. That's not to say that management can deceive the reader of the financial statements with the information that's presented here, but they're also going to present it in the best possible light for management being continued to be the management of the company. So look at the explanations. You can either summarize them in the answers to this report or just copy them and place them in the answer space individually. The next portions of this are some common size analysis type things. Product cost is cost of goods sold, so just look to the explanation of changes in cost of goods sold when you answering that question. Operating costs, general and administrative, and other operating expenses, those that are outside of cost of goods sold. Debt servicing is interest expense, and so that's really all that you should address there. Now, you may need to go a little bit outside of management's discussion and analysis to answer this question. So there is a footnote on debt, so that you may need to look at that footnote to obtain also some additional information to answer this question. Now, tax burden is tax expenses reflected on the income statement. Now, you're going to see a substantial decline in tax burden for the current year. So look at some additional footnote explanation beyond what the company provides in management's discussion and analysis. Now, question 5, profitability, really is a summary of the questions uh, 1 through 5 that relate to the common size analysis. So just try to summarize your information there in 5. Now, question 6. Generally, you're going to find that these amounts do not exist in most companies. Uh, if you had intermediate accounting, you should have been exposed to the reporting for extraordinary items and discontinued operations. If you haven't had intermediate accounting, there is an explanation of these items included in the reading material for this chapter. I would suggest that you read those sections of the reading material very carefully to help you understand what should be included in these captions within the income statement. Now, what you'll generally find is that net income and income before extraordinary items and discontinued operations are the same thing. So be very careful when you're completing the Excel worksheet that you don't confuse those two items for completion of that portion of this assignment. Now, when you're completing the Excel spreadsheet, you're going to find that some of the numbers require 5 years of information. Now, there's a place within the financial statements that the company presents a summary of what they call significant financial statement amounts. You will access that area of the financial statements to get the current year, prior year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year back information. You don't need to go outside of the 2017 financial statements to complete this portion of the assignment, um, because the data will be presented in the summary of significant financial statement items. So just look there for that rather than trying to find it in each of the individual statements. Um, as usual, should you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you.